The RCMP have lost more than 200 guns in the last 4 years. The questions still remain on where have those guns gone and whether Mounties will be held responsible. CTV's Kamal Karamali joins us now. And Kamal, what do we know about these lost guns?
Hi, Heather. Yeah, so the exact number is 205 guns lost or missing by the RCMP since 2020. So let's break those numbers down. That includes 122 handguns, more than 50 shotguns, more than 20 rifles, 3 submachine guns, and 2 machine guns reported lost from RCMP detachments across the country in the last 4 years. Nearly half of those guns were lost in 2021 when 99 firearms were reported missing that year.
If I were in charge of the RCMP, I certainly would launch a criminal investigation on every single one of those missing firearms.
The RCMP saying very little in response, Heather, is saying it can only determine specifically if a firearm was lost by a service member. Rather, it cannot determine specifically if a firearm was lost by a service member. Also not known if the firearms were ever recovered.
Gun control groups urging you to act swiftly on election promises on firearms. Meantime, Alberta Premier Danielle Smith went on the record at one of her recent Alberta Next town halls. I'm sure you've been briefed on it, saying that all levels of government and police within the province, including RCMP, have been instructed not to participate in any gun confiscation. What do you intend to do on the firearms file specifically? And what do you make of Premier Smith's position?
I'm not going to the exact quote. Maybe I'll leave the quote aside, but I'll pick up one word there: confiscation. This is not about confiscation. This is about voluntary return of firearms for compensation of these firearms. And we'll run a process. Look, we'll have different processes in different provinces. What it is an opportunity for Canadians to return guns for compensation.
I'm starting to think that the old cliche saying that goes something like, how do you know when a politician is lying? The answer being whenever their lips are moving, was based on Mark Carney specifically. I don't think this guy is physically capable of telling the truth. Honestly, here's what I mean. And I can't believe I'm about to say this, but it's true. The guy who was in before him, Justin Trudeau, lied very often. But every now and then, because of his stupidity and out of control narcissism, he would unwillingly tell the truth. Or the truth would just kind of come out. That ain't the case with Carney. This guy's as methodical and calculated as a literal snake. How could the gun buyback program not be considered a confiscation program when it is mandatory that you sell your guns to the government at whatever price they determine, whether you want to sell them or not? Explain that to me. How is it that the government of Alberta had to put in place an order to its police telling them not to implement any sort of confiscation order from the federal government if the program is supposed to be voluntary? It's pretty obvious that he's lying to Canadians, but that's just par for the course with Liberal politicians.
And Kamal, a bit of a different story here, but also gun-related and making headlines. The federal government's gun buyback program is so far shooting blanks.
That's right. So Ottawa has so far spent tens of millions of dollars on the firearm buyback program with no results so far. Let's take a look at what's happened. So we know that the program has cost taxpayers more than $67 million since it was announced more than 4 years ago. But so far, it's resulted in 0 guns collected. It was back in May of 2020 the Liberals banned 1,500 models of assault-style firearms. It began to work on a compensation program that would buy back those newly banned firearms. Now, gun owners were given until October of next year to comply with the new law, but many details of the program have yet to be released, Heather, including how much gun owners will be paid by the government for these firearms. Back over to you.
And recently, we've also learned that the Liberal government updated numbers is showing that currently the government's plan to confiscate lawfully owned firearms from the legal gun owner community is costing upwards of $75 million thus far.
We completely feel that the current gun ban buyback program has zero impact on crime.
Zero impact on crime. And yet the Liberals continue their efforts to confiscate and take away legally obtained firearms from law-abiding citizens. That's a big red flag if I've ever seen one. When you even have law enforcement telling you that your efforts to criminalize lawful gun owners are having zero impact on the public safety you claim to be worried about, one can't help but wonder what your true motives are. In today's video, we're going to be looking at Canada's obsession with disarming its own population, from confiscation efforts to the so-called buyback program. You're not going to want to miss this. Let's get into it. Very quickly though, if you enjoy these videos, please do me a solid and subscribe. It's free and you can always unsubscribe later if you change your mind. Thank you, and back to the video.
Today, the government is adding a further 324 unique makes and models of assault-style firearms to the list of prohibited firearms in Canada. This prohibition takes effect immediately.
Whoa, what happened there? I thought it was supposed to be a voluntary purchase of something the government never owned to begin with. Don't tell me you guys lied. Oh boy, am I ever shocked. Okay, so clearly they're showing what their intentions are, which is basically to see a disarmed population for whatever dark, self-serving purposes. I'll leave it to you guys to drop theories in the comment section below of what you think they're trying to do. But if history is any indication, it would seem that Canada is taking a page from Soviet/communist regimes, which understood that a disarmed population is an obedient one. Because, let's face it, what other choice do they have?
Here's the way the communists look at guns. All political power comes from the barrel of a gun. The Communist Party must command all the guns. That way no guns can ever be used to command the party. So they're actually chasing you down for your guns. They've got a minister that's going to come to your homes and get your guns. And this is the way, I'm going to finish with this. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state and the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. And that is the way we're going to run the new Alberta.
Now, let's be honest. This push to take guns didn't just fall out of the sky. It ramped up under Justin Trudeau, and frankly, no one's surprised. A socialist government trying to disarm citizens? What a plot twist, huh? Sure, Canada's always had difficult gun laws, but it wasn't until Trudeau that the government started banning and grabbing legally owned property like it was candy. And if you know even a shred of history, you know how this ends. Venezuela, Cuba, communist China, same script, same outcome. You have disarmed citizens, the government calling the shots, and criminals running free. Canada really looks like it's auditioning for a role in a Soviet-era movie. But Albertans can see right through it, and I'm really happy to see that.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. And recently, we've also learned that the Liberal government updated numbers is showing that currently the government's plan to confiscate lawfully owned firearms from the legal gun owner community is costing upwards of $75 million thus far, and yet not a single firearm has been purchased from a lawful owner. And in fact, no impact has been had, of course, on the criminals and illegal gun trade that's going on. Can you comment on what the Toronto Police Service would do with $75 million to combat gun violence?
$75 million would go a long way. We completely feel that the current gun ban buyback program has zero impact on crime in the city of Toronto.
So here you have one of the leaders of law enforcement in Canada informing the federal government that their ridiculous plan to confiscate the firearms from law-abiding citizens is doing nothing to stop the real criminals in the streets of Toronto, which have seen a sharp increase in violent crime recently. This so-called buyback program isn't only ridiculous, but it's also ineffective, because the real criminals would never hand their guns to the government, at least not voluntarily. Makes you wonder what the real plan is if it really isn't for the sake of public safety. The fact that they're so determined to take people's ability to defend themselves.
The good news is that those concrete steps that we spoke about in terms of buying back, retrieving, and disposing of those military-style assault weapons that have no place on the streets of Canada. That will begin in the next month or month and a half we'll have more information, those concrete details that I know you're looking forward to in the coming weeks. But we're very much on track to fulfill that obligation.
Hey, if you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to be notified every time a new video is published, hit the subscribe button and activate the notifications bell. It's completely free and it helps our channel grow. A heartfelt thank you to all our channel members. I really appreciate your support. See you all in the next one. Peace.